In this class, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula, you understand? But before that, let's quickly derive the general formula of a quadratic equation. Don't forget, in our previous class, I told you the general form, a typical quadratic equation can be represented as this, you understand? ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, you understand? Please pay attention. You know, in this quadratic equation, a is the first term, okay? First term, b equals to the second term, are you paying attention? And c equals to the constant term, that term that doesn't have any value attached to it, any unknown attached to it, that is the constant term. And in some textbooks, you will find it as the third term, you understand? Now, how do we derive the general formula of a quadratic equation from this quadratic expression? You see, we are still going to use the completing the square method, you understand? The method that we use while we are solving quadratic equation in our previous class using the completing the square method, we are still going to use the same method to, we are still going to apply the same method here. You just have to pay attention, okay? Now, the first step is that we have to take the constant term to the other side of the equation. Are you paying attention? So here I'm going to have, please pay attention, ax squared plus bx equals to negative c. That is the first step, taking the constant term to the right hand side of the equation. The next step is that we have to now divide all through by the coefficient of x squared. Please listen. Having taken the constant term to the right hand side of the equation, we have to divide all through by the coefficient of x squared. The coefficient of x squared is what? A. So I'm going to divide all through by a. This over a, this over a, and this over a. Do you understand? So the quadratic equation becomes like this: x squared plus bx all over a equals to negative c all over a. You understand? Now, please kindly pay attention. The next step is that we have to take the half of the square of the second term, then add it to both sides of the equation. Take the half of the second term, square that half, and add it to both sides of the equation. The second term in this quadratic equation is what? Plus b all over a. Plus b over a is the second term. You understand? Plus b over a is the second term. So let us take the half of b over a. The half of b over a equals to b over 2a. You understand? So I'm going to square that half. So the square of that half will be what? B over 2a squared. Do you understand? Please, all you have to do is just pay attention. You're going to understand, okay? You know, when we are dealing with how to solve quadratic equation using the completing the square in our previous class, you know that we come across something like this. You understand? Taking the half of the square of this, taking the half of the second term, then squaring it, then adding it to both sides of the equation is the same thing I did here. You understand? I take the half of the square of the second term, then I add it to both sides of the, I'm going to add it to both sides of the equation, okay? So here I'm going to have x squared plus bx all over a plus b all over 2a squared equals to negative c all over a plus b over 2a squared. You understand? You know, if you followed all our classes on quadratic equation, I'm very sure this will just be like a revision to you, sincerely speaking, because I took time to explain this stuff when we are solving, when we are dealing with quadratic equation using the completing the square method. You understand? Okay. Here, now I'm going to rewrite the left hand side of the equation by as a perfect square. You understand? I'm going to rewrite the left hand side of this equation as a perfect square. Hence, I'm going to have x plus b all over 2a squared equals to, now for the right hand side of the equation, I'm going to simplify it. You understand? So I'm going to have negative c all over a plus b squared all over 4a squared. You are wondering how I come about this. B over 2a simply means b over 2a squared. Hello. B over 2a squared simply means b over 2a times b all over 2a. You understand? B times b is what? B squared. 2a times 2a is what? 4a squared. Let me explain. 2 times 2 is what? 4. A times a is what? X squared. You understand? Do you understand now? So now that is how I got b squared all over 4a squared. Now we have gotten to this point. What do we do next? What we are going to do is that, please listen. The left hand side of the equation can still be simplified. You understand? So I'm going to have x plus b all over 2a. You are going to put square, okay? Don't forget the square. You understand? So I'm going to have equals to, what is the LCM of a and 4a squared? The LCM of a and 4a squared is what? 4a squared. So here I'm going to have 4a squared. Now 4a squared divided by a, that is what? 4a. Are you wondering? Let's quickly do some arithmetic. 4a squared. 4a squared simply means 4 times a times a. You understand? Now 4a squared divided by a. Divided by a. 1a will cancel 1a. So I'm left with what? 4a. 4 times a, that will be what? 4a. That's why I got 4a. Okay? 4a squared divided by a. That will be what? 4a. You understand? 4a times negative c. That will be what? Negative 4ac. Hello? Listen to the explanation again. 4a squared divided by a. I explained how I got 4a. That is 4a. 4a multiplied by negative c. That is what? Negative 4ac. Negative 4ac plus, hello? 4a squared divided by 4a squared. That is what? 1. 1 times b squared. That is what? Plus b squared. You understand? So let us proceed. Now, I can take the square root of both sides. Okay? But okay, so now let us proceed. For this, I'm going to have x plus b all over 2a squared equals to, now please, I can rewrite the numerator as b squared minus 4ac. You understand? So I'm going to have b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. You understand? I've not done anything. I just will write the numerator as b squared minus 4ac. You understand? Okay? The next step is that we have to take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to have the square root here. I'm going to root this also. Now, this square will be cancelled by this square root. You understand? So I'm left with what? X plus b all over 2a equals to plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. You understand? Now listen, okay? I'm going to rewrite this. I can rewrite the right hand side of the equation as this. Please listen, okay? X plus b over 2a equals to plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, okay, minus 4ac all over, now please listen to this, 4a squared, root of 4a squared all over square root of 4a squared. You understand? Please listen. For this, I'm going to have x plus b all over 2a plus equals to plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over, now square root of 4 is what? 2. Hello? Square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is what? A. So I'm left with what? 2a. Do you understand? Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of a squared is what? A. So I'm left with what? 2a. So this will be divided by 2a. Do you understand? Okay? Now let's proceed. Here I'm going to have x equals to, now if this b over 2a crosses the equals to sign, the positive sign is going to change to what? Negative sign. Hello? That b over 2a, if it crosses the equals to sign, the positive sign will change to what? Negative sign. So I'm going to have negative b all over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Do you know how I come about 2a? I just take the square root of 4a squared. You understand? So here I'm going to have x equals to, from this point we are going to take the LCM. You understand? Listen, we're going to take the LCM. The LCM of minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a is what? 2a. You understand? Because the denominator are both what? 2a. So the LCM of this will be what? 2a. You understand? 2a divided by 2a is what? That is 1. 1 times negative b is what? Negative b. So I'm going to have negative b plus or minus 2a divided by 2a is what? 1. 1 times square root of b squared minus 4ac. That is what? Square root of b squared minus 4ac. So that is how we come about the quadratic formula. This formula is also known as general formula. You understand? That is how we come about the quadratic formula. You can see that x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is how we come about the quadratic formula. You understand? So this is the formula that we are talking about. We can use this formula to solve this quadratic equation. You understand? And you are going to get the value correctly, provided that you applied it correctly. You understand? In our next class, we are going to learn how to apply this formula in solving quadratic equation. You understand? So in this class, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula. Okay, let's start with the first question. We are asked to solve for the value of x in this quadratic equation. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay, 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 equals to 0. Okay, how do we solve this quadratic equation using the general formula? In our previous class, we derived the general formula of quadratic equation and we got this: x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You understand? Okay, now please pay attention. Okay, the first term is a, the second term is b, and the constant term in our quadratic equation is c. Do you understand? The first term is a, the second term is b, and the constant term in our quadratic equation is c. Now, the first term in this quadratic equation is the coefficient of x squared. Okay, the coefficient of x squared in this quadratic equation is what? A is 2. You understand? Now, the second term is the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x in this quadratic equation is what? 5. So this is b. And the constant term, that term that doesn't have any unknown attached, is what? 3. So that one will be a constant term, which is c. Do you understand? Okay. Now let's proceed. All we have to do now is to plug in a, b, and c into this quadratic equation, into that quadratic formula. By so doing, we are going to arrive at the value of x. Do you understand? Okay. So let's do that. Here I'm going to have x equals to minus b. B is what? 5. You understand? So I'm going to have minus 5. Are you paying attention? Plus or minus square root of b squared. B is what? 5. So I'm going to have square root of 5 squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to have minus 4 multiplied by a. A is what? 2. Minus 4 multiplied by 2 times c. C is what? C is 3. So I'm going to have multiplied by 3 all over, please pay attention, all over 2a. 2 multiplied by a. A is what? 2. So I'm going to have this multiplied by 2. Do you understand? Okay. Here I'm going to have x equals to minus 5 plus or minus square root of 5 square is 25. So I'm going to have 25 minus 4 multiplied by 6. You understand? All over 4. Okay. Here I'm going to have x equals to minus 5 plus or minus square root of 25 minus 6 times 4 is what? 24. So I'm going to have minus 20. Oh, sorry, this is 25. Sorry, this is 25. 25 minus 24. Okay, this all over 4. You understand? Okay, I'm going to have x equals to minus 5 plus or minus square root of, okay, 25 minus 24 will give us what? That will give us 1. Square root of 1 all over 4. Do you understand? So now we are going to have x equals to minus 5 plus square root of 1 all over 4, or minus 5 minus square root of 1 all over 4. I'm going to explain, okay? Do you know that we have the positive sign and negative sign in between this negative 5 and square root of 1 over 4? You understand? So in an attempt to solve the question, I split this fraction into two. So I'm having one with plus and another with negative. You understand? So I've not done anything. Do you understand? Okay. Now, here I'm going to have x equals to minus 5 plus 1, because the square root of the square root of 1 is what? 1. So I'm going to have minus 5 plus 1 all over 4 of minus 5 minus 1 or minus 1 all over 4. You understand? So x equals to minus 5 plus 1. What is the answer? That is what? Negative 4. Negative 4 all over 4. And minus 5 minus 1. That is what? Minus 6. I'm going to have minus 6 all over 4. So x, what? Minus 1. So I'm going to have minus 1. And negative 6 divided by 4. That is what? Negative 3 over 2. So I'm going to have negative 3 all over 2. That is the value of x. If you plug in this value into this quadratic equation, you're going to have 0. You understand? So that is how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula. You understand? You can see that it's easy. All you have to do is just to make sure that you master this formula. Make sure that you master this formula, okay? Minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is the value of x. And don't say that because we have only x, you can be given a quadratic equation in which the unknown is b, in which the unknown is p, in which the unknown is any letters. You understand? Just have to know that if the unknown here is x, we're going to have x equals to minus b plus or minus. And if the unknown here is c, if it is not x, we're going to have c equals to, you understand? If the unknown is d, we're going to have d equals to, are you paying attention? So don't say because this one is common, you're going to be, no, that's not it. You understand? So that is another thing that you have to take note. So perhaps if I have quadratic equation of this type, it will be p squared minus 2p plus 3 equals to 0. You know that the unknown in this quadratic equation is not what? X, it is p. So I'm going to have p, for the general formula, I'm going to have p equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the formula that I'm going to use to solve for the value of p. You understand? So it's very important that you take note of that as well, okay? So that will be all for this class, okay? This class, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula or the quadratic formula. You understand? Okay, let's start with the first question. Find the value of x in the quadratic equation x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals to 0. Okay, x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals to 0. Okay, now how do we solve this quadratic equation using the general formula? Don't forget, in our previous class we derived the general formula as x equals to, okay, let me write it here, x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is the general formula of the quadratic equation or the quadratic formula. Now, how do we solve this using this formula? The first step is that you have to identify the parameters in your formula. You understand? The parameters in this formula are a, b, and c. You understand? A is the coefficient of x squared. Are you paying attention? A is the coefficient of x squared. And the coefficient of x squared in this quadratic equation is what? 1. You understand? In this quadratic equation, a equals to 1. Now, b is the coefficient of x. So, b in this quadratic equation is what? 6. And c is the constant term. C in this quadratic equation is what? 9. Do you understand? Okay? So now, having identified your parameters in the formula, the next step is to substitute all these parameters into this formula. Then you are going to get the value of x. You understand? So let us proceed. For this, I'm going to have x equals to minus minus b. B is what? 6. So I'm going to have minus 6 plus or minus square root of b squared. B is also 6. So I'm going to have 6 squared minus 4ac. In this case, a is what? 1. So I'm going to have 1 multiplied by c. C is 9. So I'm going to have multiplied by 9. Do you understand? All over 2a. 2a is what? 2 multiplied by a. That is what? 2 multiplied by 1. Do you understand? Okay. X equals to minus 6 plus or minus square root of, okay, 6 square is what? 36. 36 minus 4 multiplied by 9. You understand? Because 1 times 9 is what? 9. This will give all over 2 times 1, 2. Okay. X equals to minus 6 plus or minus. Now let us simplify here. We have 36 minus 4 times 9 is what? 36. So I'm going to have minus 36. Do you understand? All over 2. So here I'm going to have x equals to negative 6 plus or minus. Now square root of 0 all over 2. You understand? Please, you just have to pay attention. It's very simple, okay? Now square root of 0 will give you 0. You understand? So I'm going to have x equals to negative 6 plus or minus square root of 0. Okay, square root of 0 will give us what? 0. So there is no need for putting that. Let me just put like this, all over 2. Okay, you can separate the signs. So I'm going to have x equals to minus 6 plus square root of 0 all over 2, or minus 6 minus square root of 0 all over 2. Do you understand? Okay, so for this I'm going to have x equals to minus 6 all over 2, or minus 6 all over 2. You see, if you take the square root of 0, you're not going to have anything. You understand? So I'm going to have here x equals to negative 6 divided by 2 is what? Negative 3, or negative 3. That is the value of x. Okay, so you can see how I solved this quadratic equation using the general formula, or the quadratic formula. You might come across an exam that says find the value of x, or find the value of any unknown in our quadratic equation using the general formula or the quadratic formula. You just have to know that whether quadratic formula, general formula, they are also referring to this formula. You understand? Okay, so let's proceed to the next question. Okay, let's proceed to the next question. Find the value of c in this quadratic equation 2c squared plus 3c minus 5. 2c squared, okay, 2c squared plus 3c minus 5 equals to 0. We are asked to find the value of c. Now please, I want to pay attention. Now you can see that in this quadratic equation we are not having x, we are having c. So whether we are having x or we are having c, all you have to do is that just replace this x by c. You understand? So the general formula now becomes like this: c equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You understand? Okay, in this quadratic equation, a is the coefficient of c squared. You understand? The coefficient of c squared is what? 2. So a is what? 2. A equals to 2, and b equals to what? B equals to, the coefficient of c is b, so b equals to 3, and c equals to the constant term, which is what? Negative 5. So I'm going to have c equals to negative 5. Now please, I want you to pay attention. Don't mistake this c to the c in the quadratic equation. Hello, I mean in the quadratic formula rather. Don't mistake the c that you are looking for to the c that is present in this quadratic formula. You understand? Okay, so let us proceed. For this I'm going to have c equals to minus b. B is what? 3. So I'm going to have minus 3 plus or minus square root of b squared. B is what? 3. So I'm going to have square root of 3 squared minus 4 multiplied by a. A is what? 2. So I'm going to have minus 4 into bracket 2 multiplied by c. C is what? C is negative 5. So I'm going to have minus negative 5 all over 2 multiplied by a. So c equals to minus 3 plus or minus square root of b squared, which is 9, minus 4 into bracket negative 10. Do you understand? 2 times negative 5, negative 10. You understand? Okay, all over 2 times 2 is what? 4, all over 4. Do you understand? Okay, C equals to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 9, negative 4 multiplied by negative 10. What will be the answer? Positive 40. So I'm going to have positive 40 all over 4. From here, we are going to have C equals to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 49 all over 4. Please, do you understand how I got this? I've not done anything. All I did was that I just add I add 9 plus 40, and that gives me 49. You understand? So now from this point we're going to separate the sign. You understand? Because we are having two signs plus or minus. I'm going to separate the sign. So I'm going to have C equals to negative 3 plus the square root of 49, this all over 4, or negative 3 minus square root of 49, this as well, all over 4. You understand? Okay, C equals to negative 3 plus square root of 49 is what? That is 7 all over 4, or negative 3 minus 7 all over 4. You understand? Okay, here I'm going to have C equals to negative 3 plus 7. That will be what? 4. So I'm going to have 4 all over 4, or negative 3 minus 7. That will be what? Minus 10 all over 4. You understand? So here C equals to 1, or you can reduce this as well. What can goes in both negative 10 and 4? That will be 2. You understand? So negative 10 divided by 2, that will be what? Negative 5. So here I'm going to have negative 5 all over 2. You understand? So the value of C in the quadratic equation C squared, in the quadratic equation 2C squared plus 3C minus 5 is what? C equals to 1 or negative 5 all over 2. You understand? Okay? In this class, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the formula method. Okay? Let's start with the first question. Find the value of x in the quadratic equation 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 equals to 0 using the formula method. Okay? We have 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 equals to 0. Okay? Now, don't forget that the first step here is to identify your a, b, and c. You understand? Because in the quadratic equation that we derived in our previous class, which is this, we need the value of a, b, and c. Now, what is the a, b, and c in this quadratic equation? A is the coefficient of x squared. That is the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown. And b is the coefficient of x. And c is the constant term in the quadratic equation. You understand? The coefficient of x squared in this quadratic equation is 12. So a here will be what? 12. Okay? And b will be equals to negative 5, and c equals to negative 2. Do you understand? Okay, now, having identified the values of a, b, and c, the next step is to substitute this value into this formula. You understand? Here, I'm going to have, so x will be equals to minus b, that will be minus into bracket minus 5, because b is what? Minus 5. You understand? Minus b plus or minus, so I'm going to have plus minus square root of b squared. Here I'm going to have minus 5 squared minus 4ac minus 4ac. A is 12 and c is what? Negative 2 multiplied by negative 2. You understand? Okay, all over 2a, all over 2 multiplied by a is 12. You understand? So I have 2 multiplied by 12. You understand? Oh, here I'm going to have x equals to negative 1 multiplied by negative 5. That will be what? Positive 5. So I'm going to have 5 plus or minus square root of b squared. Negative 5 times negative 5. That will be what? 25. So I'm going to have 25 here. Minus 4 into bracket 12 multiplied by negative 2. That will be what? Negative 24. You understand? All over 2 multiplied by 12. That will be what? 24. So I'm going to have all over 24. Do you understand? Okay, here, let's proceed. X will be equals to 5 plus or minus. Now, let us simplify this. 25 minus 24 multiplied by minus 24. The first step is that you have to first take the product. The product of minus 4 and 24. You understand? Minus 4 multiplied by 24 is 96. You understand? So here I'm going to have 25 plus 96 all over 24. You understand? So x will be equals to 5 plus or minus square root of 25 plus 96. That will be 121. You understand? So here I'm going to have 121. Are you paying attention? All over 24. You understand? So the next step is that I'm going to split this sign. You understand? I'm going to separate the signs. Here I'm going to have x equals to 5 plus square root of 121. Sorry, square root of 121 all over 24, or 5 minus square root of 121 all over 24. You understand? Now, what is the square root of 121? The square root of 121 is 11. You understand? So I'm going to have here x will be equals to 5 plus 11 all over 24, or 5 minus 11 all over 24. Do you understand? Now 5 plus 11 is 5 plus 11 is 16. You understand? So here I'm going to have x equals to 16 all over 24. Are you paying attention? Or now 5 minus 11, that will be negative 6. You understand? So I'm going to have negative 6 all over 24. Okay, now we can reduce both fractions. What can we use to divide 16 and 24? We can use 8. So 16 divided by 8 is what? 2. And 24 divided by 8 is what? 3. So here I'm going to have 3. You understand? Do you understand? 24 divided by 8 will give us 3. So I'm going to have 2 all over 3. Now we can also reduce negative 6 all over 24. What can we use to divide negative 6 and 24? We can use 6. You understand? Negative 6 divided by 6 is what? Negative 1. And negative 24 divided by 6 will give us what? 4. So I'm going to have this all over 4. So the value of x that makes the quadratic equation 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 to be equals to 0 is that is 2 over 3, or negative 1 over 4. You understand? So let's have another question. We are asked to find the value of x in the quadratic equation 3x squared plus 14x plus 8 equals to 0 using the formula method. Whether the question says using the formula method, or using the general formula, or using the quadratic formula, it's also referring to this using this formula. You understand? So don't be confused. Okay, so let's solve the question. We have 3x squared plus 14x plus 8 equals to 0. Okay, now how do we solve this question using the formula method? We are still going to use the same steps that we used to solve this question. The first step is to identify your a, b, and c. A in this quadratic equation is the coefficient of x squared. The coefficient of x squared in this quadratic equation is what? 3. You understand? So here a will be 3. A equals to 3. You understand? And for the second, we have b equals to what? 14, and c equals to 8. Now, having identified your a, b, and c, the next step is to plug in these values into this formula and simplify. By so doing, you're going to get the value of x. Those values of x are the one that satisfy the quadratic equation. You understand? Okay? So having identified our a, b, and c, the next step is that we're going to plug in this value into this formula. You understand? We are going to plug in a, b, and c into this formula. So I'm going to have x equals to minus b. Minus b is what? 14. So I'm going to have minus 14 plus or minus square root of b squared. B is 14, so I'm going to have 14 squared minus 4 multiplied by a. A is what? 3. So I'm going to have 3 multiplied by c. C is 8 all over 2 multiplied by a. A is 3, so I'm going to have 2 x is equals to negative 14 plus. Now take the square of 14. 14 square is 14 times 14. That will be what? 196. Okay, so I'm going to have this 196 minus 4 into bracket 8 multiplied by 3. That is what? 24. So I'm going to have into bracket 24 all over 6. You understand? for this I'm going to have x equals to negative 14 plus or minus square root of, now 196 minus 4 multiplied by 24, that will give us 50. So this negative sign is this, you understand? So 4 multiplied by 24 is 96, so I'm going to have this over 96 over 6 rather. Now from this point we're going to have x equals to minus 14 plus or minus square root of 196 minus 96, that is 100, so I'm going to have 100 all over 6, you understand? Now here I'm going to separate the signs. I'm going to have x equals to negative 14 plus square root of 100 all over 6, or negative 14 minus square root of 100 all over 6, you understand? Okay, from this point we can take the square root of 100, so I'm going to have x equals to negative 14 plus square root of 100 is 10, so I'm going to have plus 10 all over 6, or negative 14 minus 10 all over 6, you understand? Okay, x now will be equals to negative 14 plus 10, that is what? 4, so I'm going to have 4 all over 6, or now negative 14 minus 10, that is negative 24, so I'm going to have negative 24 all over 6, you understand? Now it is easy to determine the value of x. All you have to do is that you just have to reduce this fraction. So x, please pay attention, let me just put it in bracket here. X is equals to 4 divided by 6, reduce this by 2, reduce both the numerator and the denominator by 2, so I'm going to have 2 all over 3, or negative 24 divided by 6. What's the answer? That is what? Negative 4, you understand? I'm going to have over negative 4. That is the value of x that satisfies the quadratic equation 3x squared plus 14x and plus 8 equals to 0, you understand? That is, by substituting these values into this quadratic equation, we're going to arrive at 0, you understand? Okay, so that will be all for this class. If you have any question regarding this, let me know in the comment section. In this class, we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the formula method. Okay, let's start with the first question. We are asked to find the value of x in the quadratic equation x squared plus 7x minus 30 equals to 0 using the formula method. Okay, x squared plus 7x minus 30 equals to 0. Okay, now you know that we've learned how to derive the formula, the general formula of quadratic equation. This is the general formula. This formula is also known as the quadratic formula. Do you understand? Okay, so now from this formula we need to know our a, b and c, because in the formula we have a, b and c, you understand, as the parameters. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now what is our a in this quadratic equation? What is our b? What is our c? Our a is the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown. That is the coefficient of x squared, you understand? Our b is the coefficient of the second term is the b, okay? The second term is the b, and the b in the quadratic equation is the coefficient of x. The constant term is what we regard as c, you understand? So now a here will be what? 1, because the coefficient of x squared is what? 1. b in this place will be 7, because the coefficient of x, which is the second term, is what? 7. Now c equals to negative 30, because the constant term in this quadratic equation is what? Negative 30. Please, I need you to pay attention. When you are writing the negative c, always pay attention to the sign before it. If it is positive, you can just neglect the negative sign, but it is negative 30, you understand? So you have to include the sign. Okay, now let's solve this equation using this formula. All you have to do is to plug in all these values into this formula. By so doing, then simplify. By so doing, we will get our answer, you understand? Okay, so here x will be equals to minus b. B is what? 7. You can see minus b. B is 7, so I'm going to have minus 7 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is what? 7, so I'm going to have 7 squared minus 4 multiplied by a. A is 1. 1 multiplied by c. C is negative 30. Do you understand? Okay, so all this over 2 multiplied by a, which is 1. Do you understand? Okay, now we've gotten to this point. What's next? All we have to do now is to simplify. Okay, now let's simplify this. X equals to negative 7 plus or minus the square root of b squared. 7 squared is what? 49. So I'm going to have 49 minus 4 into bracket negative 30 multiplied by 1. That is negative 30. So I'm going to have negative 30. Do you understand? All over 2. Okay, let's proceed. Here I'm going to have x equals to negative 7 plus or minus square root of, okay, now 49, please kindly pay attention, negative 4 multiplied by negative 30, what will be the answer? That will be negative, that will be positive 120, you understand, because negative will multiply negative and that will change to positive, you understand. So 4 multiplied by 30, that will be what? 120. So here I'm going to have plus 120 all over 2. Do you understand? Let us proceed. For this I'm going to have x equals to negative 7 plus or minus square root of, now 49 plus 120. What is the answer? That will give us 169. So I'm going to have here 169 all over 2. You understand? So x is equals to negative 7 plus. Now, what I want to do now is that I want to split, because I'm having two signs here. You understand? So we have positive and negative signs. So I'm going to split this sign. Okay. So here I'm going to have square root of 169 all over 2, you understand, okay? Or negative 7 negative square root of 169 all over 7. Do you understand? Okay? Now, what is the square root of 169? The square root of 169 is 13. So, for the first part, I'm going to have x equals to negative 7 plus 13 all over 2, or negative 7 negative 13 all over, sorry, this is 2, sorry, okay, this is supposed to be 2 all over 2, you understand, okay? Now, negative 7 plus 13, what will be the answer? That will be what? 6. It's just as if saying 13 minus 7, that will be 6. Do you understand? So for this I'm going to have 6 all over 2. Okay, let's put it here. X is equals to 6 all over 2. Or now for this one I'm going to have negative 7 negative 13, that will be what? Negative 20. So I'm going to have negative 20 all over 2. So here x equals to 3, or negative 20 divided by 2, that will be negative 10. So x is equals to 3 or negative 10, you understand? So the value of x that makes the quadratic equation x squared plus 7x minus 30 equals to 0 is 3 or negative 10. If you substitute this value into this quadratic equation, you are still going to arrive at 0. Okay, so that is how to solve quadratic equation using the formula method. Okay, let's have another question. Okay, question 2. Find the value of d in the quadratic equation 2d squared minus 3d minus 5. Okay, 2d squared minus 3d, okay, 2d squared minus 3d, okay, let me check the question, that is minus 5 equals to 0, okay. We are asked to find the value of d in this quadratic equation. Now, we are still going to use the formula method, okay, so I want you to pay attention. In this quadratic equation, we didn't have x, but we have d, you understand? So how do we determine the value of d? Don't forget, in the previous class, I told you that don't mind the value that you are given. If you are asked to find the value of d, just equate the formula, you understand? The formula now becomes d equals to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, you understand? Instead of x, we are going to replace x as d. Do you understand? Okay, so here I'm going to have d will be equals to negative b. B in this equation is what? B is negative 3, you understand? And C is negative 5. A is what? 2. Do you understand? Just like what we did in the previous example, you understand? A being the coefficient of x squared. In this case, A will be the coefficient of d squared, you understand? Because A is always regarded as the the coefficient of the highest power of the unknown in our quadratic equation. You understand? So here I'm going to have A, this will be B, and this will be C. Do you understand? Okay, now we can solve this question by plugging in the value of A, B, and C. Do you understand? Now, having known that A is 2, B is -3, and C is -5, D will be equals to negative, okay, maybe I should write it out. A equals to 2, B equals to -3, and C equals to -5. Do you understand? Okay, now let's plug in all this value into this formula. Okay, so I'm going to have negative B, B is -3, so I'm going to have negative into -3 because B is negative. You understand? B is -3. Okay, for this I'm going to have plus or minus the square root of B squared. B is -3, so I'm going to have -3 squared minus 4. Okay, please kindly pay attention. Minus 4 AC. A is 2, so I'm going to have 2 multiplied by C. C is -5, so I'm going to have -5 here. All over 2 multiplied by 2, okay, because A is what? 2, you understand? Okay, yeah, I'm going to have D equals to negative times negative, that will be 3, you understand? -3 times -1, that's it. That will be 3. I'm going to have 3 plus or minus the square root of, okay, now -3 square is what? 9. So I'm going to have 9 minus 4 into bracket -5 times 2, that will be -10. So I'm going to have -10 here, all over 2, because 2 times 2 will be 4. So I'm going to have 4 in this place. Please, are you paying attention? Follow me carefully. D equals to 3 plus or minus square root of, okay, now, okay, let's simplify further. 9, okay, -4 times -10, that will be what? +40. +40 all over 4, okay. D equals to 3 plus or minus square root of 49, okay, all over 4, okay. D equals to 3 plus or minus square root of 49 is 7. You understand? Hello? Square root of 49 is 7. 7 times 7 gives us 49. So I'm going to have 3 plus or minus 7. Okay, let's separate. Okay, let's separate here. 3 plus root of 49 all over 4, or 3 minus root of 49 all over 4. You understand? Okay, so D will be equals to 3 plus 7 all over 4, or 3 minus 7 all over 4. Do you understand? Okay, now from this point, 3 plus 7 is 10. So I'm going to have D equals to 10 all over 4, or 3 minus 7, that will be -4. So I'm going to have or -4 all over 4. You understand? Now from this point, we can reduce this fraction. 10 divided by 4 is 5 over 2. You understand? We divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. You understand? So I'm going to have here 5 all over 2, or -4 divided by 4, that will be what? -1. So I'm going to have or -1. So the value of D that makes the quadratic equation 2D squared minus 3D minus 5 equals to 0 is D equals to 5 over 2 or -1. Do you understand? If you plug in these values of this in this quadratic equation, you are still going to arrive at 0. Do you understand? Okay, so that will be all for this class. If you have any question regarding this, let me know in the comment section. Okay, in this class we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula. Don't forget, the general formula is also known as the quadratic formula. Okay, so let's start with the first question. We are asked to solve for the value of x in the quadratic equation 4x squared equals to 11x plus 21. 4x squared equals to 11x plus 21. If you look at this quadratic equation, you can see that the first step is to rearrange this quadratic equation. You understand? You know, this is how a typical quadratic equation look like. Do you understand? A typical quadratic equation is equals to 0. Now, if you look at this quadratic equation, you discover that we have 4x squared equals to 11x plus 21. So, in an attempt to solve this quadratic equation, we have to rearrange it. such that it will look like this. Okay, so here I'm going to move the values, all the terms that I have in the right hand side of the equation. I'm going to move it to the left hand side of the equation. Okay, so I'm going to have 4x squared minus 11x minus 21 equals to 0. You can see now, because if this 11x crosses the equals to sign, the negative sign is going to change to positive, and the positive 21 is as well going to change to negative 21. So the quadratic equation becomes like this. Okay, now the next step is that, don't forget that the general formula of a quadratic equation is this. Okay, so I'm going to identify my A, B, and C. Okay, you see, in this quadratic formula, we have A, we have B, and we have C. So here, A is the coefficient of x squared. Okay, so A is the coefficient of x squared. If you look at this quadratic equation, the coefficient of x squared is what? 4. So A is 4, and B is the coefficient of x. So B is what? Negative 11, and C is the constant term. The constant term in the quadratic equation is the term that doesn't have any value. That doesn't have any terms attached to it. You understand? So here, C is equals to negative 21. So having identified your A, B, and C, you need to plug in all this value into this quadratic equation and then simplify. Do you understand? Okay, so let us plug in all this value into this quadratic formula. Let us substitute all this value into this quadratic formula. So I'm going to have x is equals to minus b. Don't forget that b is what? Negative 11. So I'm going to have minus into bracket minus 11, because b is negative 11. Are you paying attention? Plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is negative 11. So I'm going to have minus 11 squared minus 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by minus 21, because C is what? Negative 21, and A is what? 4. Hello? See, all this is simple. Okay, all I did is that I'm just substituting the value of A, B, and C into this quadratic formula. Okay, so let's proceed to the denominator. We have 2 multiplied by A. A is 4, so I'm going to have 2 multiplied by 4. Okay, now we are going to simplify this, okay, to get the value of x. Here I'm going to have x is equals to minus 11, that's 11, plus or minus square root of, okay, now negative 11 squared, negative 11 squared is what? That is 121, because if you take the product of negative number and a negative number, you are going to get a positive number, and 11 squared is what? Is 121. So here I'm going to have the square root of 121. Please, I want you to pay attention. 4 multiplied by negative 21, that will give us negative 84. You understand? Let me quickly solve this here. See, we have negative 4 into bracket 4 times minus 21. Okay, now let us simplify. 4 multiplied by minus 21, that will give us what? 4 multiplied by negative 21, that will give us negative 40, oh no, negative 84, sorry, negative 84. Okay, now negative 84 multiplied by negative 84 multiplied by 4, that will give us 336. You understand? So here I'm going to have 336. So for this I'm going to have square root of 21 plus 336. Okay, all over 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. Okay, now let us proceed. Here I'm going to have x is equals to 11 plus or minus square root of, now 121 plus 336, that is 457. So I'm going to have square root of 457 all over 8. Okay, this is negative. Okay, so here I'm going to have x is equals to, now we can separate the sign, or let us first take the square root of 457. The square root of 457 is 21.378. So I'm going to have 11 plus or minus 21.378 all over 8. Okay, now let us separate the sign, because you can look, if you look at the denominator, you will discover that we are having two signs between 11 and 21.378. So we are going to separate the signs now. Okay, just pay attention. Okay, so I'm going to have x is equals to 11 plus 21.378 all over 8, or 11 minus 21.378 all over 8. You understand? Okay, now 11 plus 21.378, that is 32.378. So x is equals to 32.378 all over 8, or 11 minus 21.378, that is 10.378. So here I'm going to have okay, negative 10.378 all over 8. So we have 32.378 divided by 8. That will give us 4.047. X is equals to 4.047, or negative 10.378 divided by 8. 378 divided by 8. That is 1.297, or 1.297. Okay. Now, if you want to approximate x to 2 decimal place, x will be equals to, okay, let me erase this. X will be equals to 4.05, or 1.2, okay, 1.30, okay, 1.30, because in some cases you might be asked to approximate to maybe 2 decimal place, 3 decimal place, depending on the question. Okay, so that is the value of x that makes the quadratic equation 4x squared minus 11x minus 21 equals to 0. Okay, so let's have the second question. Find the value of x in the quadratic equation x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now, to solve for the value of x in this quadratic equation using the general formula, the first step is to identify your a, b, and c. A is the coefficient of x squared. The coefficient of x squared in this quadratic equation is 1. So a equals to 1, and b equals to 6, and c equals to 9. You understand? B is the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x is what? Plus 6. So I have 6. And the constant term is c, which is 9. So having identified your a, b, and c, the next step is that you just have to substitute the value of a, b, and c in this quadratic formula. Okay? So here I'm going to have x is equals to minus b. B is 6. So I'm going to have minus 6 plus or minus square root of b squared. B is 6. So I'm going to have 6 squared minus 4ac. 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 9. You understand? Okay? All over 2a. 2 multiplied by 1. Okay? X is equals to minus 6 plus or minus square root of b squared. 6 squared is what? 36. So I'm going to have 36 minus. Now, I want you to pay attention. 4 multiplied by 1 is what? 4. 4 multiplied by 9 is what? 36. Are you paying attention? So I'm going to have minus 36 all over 2. Okay? So here I'm going to have x is equals to minus 6 plus or minus square root of 0. Square root of 0 is what? 0. So I'm going to have, okay, all over 2. So here x is equals to minus 6 plus 0 all over 2, or minus 6 minus 0 all over 2. Because square root of 0 is what? 0. Okay? So here I'm going to have x is equals to 3, negative 3, or negative 3. X is equals to negative 3 twice. Okay? That is the value of x that makes the quadratic equation x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals to 0. Okay? I didn't even have 0 here. It's not 0. Okay? So if you substitute the value of x as negative 3 into this quadratic equation, we are still going to arrive at 0. That is what it means. Okay, so that will be all for this class. If you have any question regarding this class, let me know in the comment section, okay? See you in the next class. In this class, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation using the general formula. Okay, let's start with the first question. We are asked to find the root of the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals to 0 using the general formula. 2x squared, that is question 1. Question 1, 2x squared minus 7x, okay, plus 7x minus 5 equals to 0, okay? We are asked to find the root of this quadratic equation, okay, using the general formula. Don't forget that in our previous class, we derived the quadratic formula x equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You understand? This is the formula. This is the formula that we're going to use to find the value of x. Do you understand? Okay. Now, in this formula, we have a, b, and c. Are you paying attention? Now, a is the coefficient of x squared. You understand? A is the coefficient of the highest power in your quadratic equation, and the highest power in every quadratic equation is 2. You understand? So a is the coefficient of x squared. The coefficient of x squared is 2. So a is equals to 2. And we have b. B is the second term, and it is the coefficient of x. Okay? So the coefficient of x in this quadratic equation is 7. So b will be equals to 7. And c is the constant term. The constant term in our quadratic equation is c. The term that doesn't have any value of x, and that will be what? Negative 5. So c is equals to negative 5. Do you understand? Okay? Now, having identified your a, b, and c, by substituting all this value into this quadratic equation and simplifying it, you are going to arrive at the value of x. Do you understand? Okay, let's proceed. So here I'm going to have x is equals to minus b. B is what? 7. So I'm going to substitute it as 7 minus 7 plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is 7. So I'm going to have 7 squared minus 4 multiplied by a. A is what? A is 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by c. C is what? Negative 5. So I'm going to have multiplied by negative 5. Okay? All over 2a. 2 multiplied by a. A is 2. So I'm going to have 2 multiplied by 2. Okay? I'm very sure you understood how I got to this point. If you didn't understand, kindly reverse the video and listen to the explanation again, okay? Now, from this point, I'm going to have x is equals to minus 7 plus or minus the square root of, okay? 7 square is 49. So I'm going to have 49 minus 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5. 2 multiplied by 5 is what? Negative 10. So I'm going to have negative 10, okay? All over 4. Do you understand? Okay? Here, I'm going to have x is equals to minus 7 plus or minus the square root of, okay? Please, I want you to pay attention. Here, I'm going to have 49 minus 4 multiplied by minus 10. Negative times negative, that will give us what? Positive. So I'm going to have 4 times 10 is what? 40. So I'm going to have 49 plus 40. Okay? Now, 49 plus 40, that is 89. Okay, so I'm going to have this all over 4, and I'm going to have here x is equals to minus 7 plus or minus square root of 89 all over 4. X is equals to minus 7 plus or minus. Now, square root of 89, what will give us? The square root of 89 is what? 9.4, you understand? So I'm going to have minus 7 plus or minus 9.4 all over 4. Do you understand? Okay? Now, you can see that we have, we're having two signs. The numerator is separated by two signs. So I'm going to separate the two signs. Are you paying attention? So in an attempt to do that, I'm going to have x is equals to minus 7 plus 9.4 all over 4, or minus 7 minus 9.4 all over 4. That means that any values that we resolve in this, any value that we got by resolving this fraction satisfy the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 7x minus 5. You understand? So here I'm going to have minus 7 plus 9.4. That will give us 2.4. Okay, so I'm going to have x is equals to 2.4 all over 4, or x is equals to minus 7 minus 9.4. That will give us what? Minus 16.4. Okay, so I'm going to have minus 16.4 all over 4. Okay, 2.4 divided by 4. What will be the answer? That is 0.6. So I'm going to have x is equals to 0.6, or minus 16.4 divided by 4. That is negative 4.1. So I'm going to have negative 4.1. These are the values of x that makes the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 7x minus 5 equals to 0. Do you understand? Okay, let's have another work example. We are asked to solve for the value of t in the quadratic equation t squared minus 2t minus 5 equals to 0. Okay? Now, I want you to pay attention. You can see that we are given t in the quadratic equation, we are not given x. So the quadratic equation becomes like this. T will be equals to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Because we are asked to solve for the value of t, not the value of x. You understand? So here we are going to have t equals to minus b. I'm very sure you can identify your b in this quadratic equation. Your b is the coefficient of t, you understand? And the coefficient of t in this quadratic equation is what? Negative 2. So here I'm going to have minus into bracket minus 2. Hello? Let me explain. Don't forget that I told you that a is the coefficient of t squared. So in this case, a is what? 1, because there is an invisible 1 at the front of this t, you understand? So b is the coefficient of t, that is the second term here, and that is negative 2. And c is the constant term. The constant term in this quadratic equation is what? Negative 5. So here is the constant term, which is negative 5. Now, having identified your a, b, and c, by substituting the value of a, b, and c into this quadratic equation, into this quadratic formula or the general formula, you are going to arrive at the values of t. Are you paying attention? So now I substitute the value of b is equals to negative 2 into this quadratic equation. That's why I have negative into bracket negative 2. Do you understand? Because the first negative that you have here, listen, the first negative that you have here is this negative. Are you paying attention? The second one that you have inside the bracket is that of is the negative is the sign which is negative before 2. You understand? That is negative 2. b itself is negative 2. Are you paying attention? That is why I have negative 2. Okay? Now, let us proceed. For this place, I'm going to have plus or minus square root of b squared. b is negative 2. So I'm going to have negative 2 squared minus 4 multiplied by a. A is what? 1. Okay? So I'm going to have 1 multiplied by c. C is what? Negative 5. So I'm going to have 1 multiplied by negative 5. Okay? All over 2a. 2 multiplied by 1. Now let us proceed. For this, I'm going to have t is equals to negative 2. That is what? Positive 2. 2 plus or minus square root of b squared. b is negative 2. So negative 2 squared is what? 4. 4 minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by negative 5. That is what? Negative 5. Okay? All over 2. So for this, I'm going to have t is equals to 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 multiplied by minus 5. That is what? Plus 20. All over 2. Okay? T equals to 2 plus or minus square root of 24 all over square root of 24 all over 2. Okay? Now, let us take the square root of 24. The square root of 24 The square root of 24 is that is 4.899. 4.899. So here I'm going to have t is equals to 2 plus or minus 4.899 all over 2. Okay, so let us proceed. T is equals to, now from this point I'm going to separate because I'm having two signs in between 2 and 4.899. I'm going to separate these signs. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 plus 4.899 all over 2, or 2 minus 4.899 all over 2. Okay, so t is equals to 6.899 all over 2, or negative 2.899 all over 2. Do you understand? 2 plus 4.899, you are going to have 6.899. So if you divide this by 2, you are going to have t is equals to 3.499. 3.499, or negative 2.899 divided by 2, that is negative 1.499. Negative 1.499. Oh, it seems there is a mistake here. 6.899 divided by 2, that is 3.449. No, 3.449. This should be 3.449. And then as well this negative 1.449. Okay, so now let us approximate to two decimal places. Here I'm going to have t is equals to 3.45 or negative 1.45. Do you understand? Okay, so the value of t that makes the quadratic equation t squared minus 2t minus 5 equals to 0 is t is equals to 3.5 or negative 1.5. That is to two decimal places. Okay, so I'm very sure you can now, if you are given this kind of question in the exam, you'll be able to solve it with ease. Okay, all you have to do is just remember your formula. When you remember the formula, identify your a, b, and c. When you are done with that, substitute the value of a, b, and c into the quadratic formula. You are going to arrive at a very good answer if you simplify this very well. Okay, so that will be all for this class. To watch our previous class, kindly go to the playlist and check those classes. And also to watch the next class, you can check the description of this video. Okay, see you in the next class.